you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet.
Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Well, greetings out there all across this great land of ours and around the world. It is that time once again for the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews. I guess I should have turned on the microphone, all right? Maybe you weren't hearing me there. Yeah, welcome to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, and we're glad to have you with us today. The first Monday after the election, and a very interesting weekend. I guess I'm going to take some time today to perhaps reflect on that to some degree. Very interesting weekend. I was asked to attend a conference up in Big Bear out here in California, a Christian men's conference, and was asked to be one of the speakers there, and spent Saturday afternoon giving a message on the place of Christianity in the political arena, more directly, though, about how individual Christians need to kind of start lining up who they say they are with their actions. And a very, very focused group. But I learned some stuff, too. I was also able to sit down with some pastors from largely Hispanic demographic churches that consisted primarily of Hispanics. And in doing so, learned a lot, got a little bit of an education, and was able to impart some education. The thing that we mentioned it last week on our last show last week, I believe that was on Wednesday because I was gone up at the conference for 2 days, Thursday and Friday, Saturday, and then come back on Sunday. But the idea that the Democrats are going to continue to use their strategy of fear to divide, and by dividing, hope to recapture the fear mongering that they're so good at, that has been used by them, and has enabled them to perpetrate this great lie upon people of color, regardless of who they are or where they come from, that that everything, the deck is stacked against them, and everything is being controlled, and they're being oppressed, and it's all because of white America. And I think that one of the things I tried to express to these people was that what has happened, what happened in this election, is that the silent majority, white America, the silent majority, got tired of being called racists and bigots and xenophobics and deplorables and unredeemable, and responded in kind. And that's really what you're seeing here. This is what happens when you, if I can use a quote from World War II, the Japanese admiral there, you have awakened a sleeping giant. And, Americans, for the most part, we really aren't into everybody else's business, and we're really not really concerned how other people live their lives. It's when you start using who we are to advance some agenda, entitlement versus opportunity kind of thing, white privilege versus everything else, you start trying to label and brand Americans and as anything other than Americans. Let me put it that way. And you're going to have a fight on your hands. You can squeaky a little bit, but if you become a noise and you become an annoying noise, yeah, you're going to get a response. And the response that you get is not going to be one that you like. And we see that that's what's happening right now. I find it really funny that everybody was so worried about whether Donald Trump would concede the election, would accept the results, and even with all the voter fraud out there and the popular vote, which is something we're going to be talking about because that's going to be a tactic once again that is surfacing. But, you know, what it is about liberals is that they'll keep throwing their arguments out there until it makes some headway, and then that becomes the strategy itself. And we know that in the 2000 election, the 2004 election, the big debate after these elections was the Electoral College versus popular vote. I believe in 2000, George Bush lost the popular vote, but won the Electoral College. John Kerry, I'm not so sure how that happened, but I know that the argument resurfaced, that it has to be about popular vote. Hillary Clinton, they say, won the popular vote. Of course, people also don't understand within that narrative and that argument that a lot of the votes that were mail-in and absentee ballots didn't get counted. Because once the declaration was made that Donald Trump won, then everybody just kind of stops what they're doing. When it has been determined, okay, this is what's going to happen, this is the way it's going down, the Electoral College has been, it's been called, the race has been called, for all intents and purposes. Now, the 2000 election was different because of the fact that there was such a small margin. I believe 500 votes or something like that ended up determining who took that state. But the point being is that in an election like this, it was close to 2 million popular votes, but the Electoral College was solid enough that it didn't really matter anymore. So not all the votes, as far as I know, have actually been counted. So we don't know that Hillary Clinton really won the popular vote. What we know is that she had the popular vote when they stopped counting. I mean, I just wanted to clarify that. Now, she may have had the popular vote, but the Electoral College this election demonstrates perfectly why the Electoral College was established. Now, I've got some stuff that we'll be talking about during the course of the day or course of the week, depending on how things pan out here. But the liberals have all these different narratives that they're presenting out there about the necessity of removing the Electoral College from our process. And their arguments are all, as usual, wrong. Reinterpreted, misinterpreted, deconstructed, redefined, as they do everything else. And, I've heard everything, well, the Electoral College was originally designed because of slavery, or it was designed because the Founding Fathers didn't really want a republic, they didn't really want a democracy, or they didn't really want a republic. Okay, that's another word. You're going to hear that more and more from the left. It's about democracy. It's not about the republic. It's about democracy. And we've talked on this show, and we'll continue to talk about it and try to get our listeners and everybody to understand, I'm sure most of you already do, that this is a republic and not a democracy. And there is a big difference between the two, although everybody likes to paint one as the other. But they're not quite the same, especially outside of the parameters or the paradigm of what our Constitution Declaration was set up to do. We can talk about a democratic process, but that democratic process takes place within the established Republican guidelines, which is our Constitution. So anyway, I'm probably getting off a little bit here, so let me get back on to what I was talking about earlier. The point being is that there is a major fear factor out there. The left has been using it. They've used it for quite a while now. They thought it was going to be enough to get Hillary Clinton in the White House, despite her corruption, despite her ineptness, her dishonesty, her unethical conduct, and, in my opinion, lack of qualifications. She wasn't qualified just because she's been in politics for 30, 40 years. There's a lot of politicians been in politics for 30, 40 years and aren't qualified. Okay? So there's a whole new conversation here that we need to have. I remember people in my family once asking me, well, if you guys really win, if Obama gets out and you guys really win, what are you going to talk about? Oh, well, we're going to talk about how to keep what we've won. Something the left is very good at doing, and the Republican Party and the conservative movement has fallen very short on. How do you articulate what we believe in a way that people can hear it and understand that it's not just the little concept. When we talk about the status quo, we're talking about the rule of order, civil society, maintaining and preserving civil society, and the morality, the moral guidelines by which we were established. That's what we mean. That doesn't mean that things in government can't actually change. It means that everything is guided by the founding documents, the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, as was designed, and everything is measured against that. And if that works, hey, change is great. If it doesn't work, it's not great. It's that simple. So anyway, we're going to go to a first break. When we come back, we'll get into today's festivities. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, who will be with us momentarily, I'm hoping. Okay, he's back now. Had some personal business to take care of there. You know, not everybody realizes that Joe and I are tied up from 3 to 5. I sometimes have the same problem. People walking into my studio, expecting me to stop what I'm doing and pay attention to what they want. No, it doesn't happen like that. But anyway, sometimes it does. So anyhow, how are you doing this fine day, Joe?
I'm good, John. I'm good. I survived another Monday, and so it was a nice long weekend. Veterans Day, good day.
I wanted to wish you a belated Veterans Day. I had forgotten all about it. I thought I'm just really bad at holidays. I thought it was on Monday. I thought today was Veterans Day. But I had some people, when I was up at the conference, one of the first things they did was acknowledge and recognize veterans that were in the group here. And is that today? I'm just really bad at holidays. Christmas I remember because that's when my house gets filled up with people, and Thanksgiving because that's when everybody expects me to cook. But
it's like, hey, who are these people? I don't know these people.
So anyway, let me start off what I kind of alluded to it before the break here. The strategy of the left and what we can expect to see. Some of the things we can expect to see over the course of the next 4 years, maybe even the next 2 years, because 2 years from now we have some senators will be up. I think the ones that weren't up for re-election this time will be up next time, right?
Yes, and you'll have the House back up again.
The House
every 2 years the House is up.
Yeah, and they're going to try to do everything they can to prepare for 2020 for whatever candidate is unfortunate enough to draw the Ass Hat of the Year award and run for that party's nomination. I got this letter. Obama did a press conference today. This in and of itself, this is indicative.
Did you listen to it?
I listened to part of it, just part of it. I caught part of it. But one of the things that stood out to me immediately, my wife was sitting there listening, and it's really funny. This election has changed my wife. She is much more attentive now when we watch the news. It used to be when the news was on, she just kind of dilly-dally around, sit there with her phone, go to Facebook, make calls and stuff like that. But now she actually sits there and listens, and she actually makes comments. She's starting to sound like me. And
that's an affirmation that you're not crazy and that you are correct on a lot of these things.
Yeah, well, that was one of the comments I got up at the conference. Some of the people that knew me up there, they were all saying the same thing. I used to think you were a wingnut. I'm thinking, yeah, okay. Well, I've always known you were. So anyway, I listened to part of it. But again, you got to understand what this press conference was about. This press conference was not about Donald Trump. It was not about Hillary Clinton. It was about Barack Obama.
Yep.
Okay, because everything that Obama does is about Barack Obama. And he was taking and most of the questions were softball questions. We know that. What did you and Donald Trump talk about? And the one segment I watched, I paid attention to, was a question from one of these. There's certain liberal reporters out there. I don't know who this guy's name is, but they all look scraggly. They wear their suit, but their shirt is always messed up and the tie is never right. The hair is always, either too long or, just messed up and everything. And this guy was asking him, when did you realize the depth of the job of being president? When did that hit you? That, Obama, being Obama, it's kind of like, well, it never really hits you solidly that way, and it's a learning process, and things change and this, that, and the other. But he always kept alluding how whenever he talks, he always kind of comes back to himself. And he never this is what it underscores. I guess I don't want to get into all the nitty gritty details that don't matter, but his general attitude was this, and he worded it this. So I'm paraphrasing. What he was actually saying was this: we've taken the country a long way, and everything that we've done is right, and everything that we've done is good, and it's unfortunate that nobody knows that.
Oh, really?
Okay, now he worded it in the way they do politically. We've tried to keep the American first and rebuild the middle class. He went out trying. We've created more jobs than any other president. We've the wages are up, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, and even my wife's sitting and going. My wife just looked at me. She used a word that I've never heard her use before. She learned it from me though. She goes, "What an asshat."
That's funny.
I said, "Yeah." And
he 3% GDP growth ever in his term, and he said we created jobs, wages are up, everything has been standing still since they passed Obamacare.
Yeah, and and even that, everything was we've made it better for the middle class, and we've advanced health care, and we've done things that allow you to do anything regardless of your sexual orientation, your socioeconomic position. It was a recitation of all the talking points that every Democrat recites when they're asked about policy and agenda and everything else. But he was
Bernie, yeah.
Yeah, but he really just kind of, I think he called the press conference for the purpose of trying to begin the damage control of what he has done while he was in the White House. And but the biggest thing that I guess I wanted to point out is that absolutely no acknowledgement at all that this guy just had his clock cleaned. Okay, no acknowledge. Yeah. We have a president that even though he had a 38% favorability rating, got elected not because of his favorability rating, but because of Barack Obama. They did not want another Hillary, or they did not want another Barack Obama in the White House. People were tired. They want change. And he never acknowledged that. The change he brought to the country, he still believes is what everybody's looking for. He's like, everything we've done is to move the country forward and all this other stuff, and not even the slightest, and nobody even asked him about it. I was waiting for somebody to say, hey, you just got your clock cleaned. Do you think that maybe this is some kind of mandate from America, that you're a complete and total failure? People want change. They elected somebody like Donald Trump rather than
John. Not only that, John, in every single election except for the presidential elections, Republicans have dominated. Absolutely, the opposition party has dominated every single election. 2010, 2012, Republicans retained control of Congress. 2014, same way. 2016, not only did they retain control of Congress, but then they took over the White House. I mean, absolutely, he has decimated the Democrat Party I'm jumping for joy. He's been the best thing the Republicans ever had as far as that goes. I mean, look at all the state legislatures, all the governorships. Mm-hmm. Across the board, this guy has done nothing, and people have rejected their message. I don't get this. We have done so much. Yeah, you've done a lot. You've done it not through legislation. You've done it through presidential edict and decree. That's the only thing he's done.
Yeah. I mean, you can't. we cannot deny that Barack Obama has accomplished to a great deal what he set out to do, the fundamental transformation of the United States of America. Now, the question then becomes, is that good? And the answer is no.
And here's the other question, and here's the other solution. It is just as easy to overturn it because it's not in law.
Yeah.
The only law that's out there is Obamacare. Everything else is done by edict and decree.
Oh, exactly. And
little regulations, little presidential orders, all this kind of stuff. That stuff is overturned on day one. It can, as quickly as Trump can sign it out of existence. If he gets his pen going that fast, he'll be making it. I mean, he can do it. Trump can do it like Obama did from the golf course with his virtual pen.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. See, the kickback here is Obama I think he really believed that once he just did whatever he wanted to do, and his general attitude was always, I'm going to sign an executive order, we're going to put this through, we're going to go around Congress because they're not acting fast enough, and they're not doing it because, this is the right thing to do, and he'd do it. And he just expected that once he did it, everybody would just line up and say, oh, okay, it's already done, and yeah, it's a good thing, or whatever. It would either be concession, oh, he's already done it, or it would be, I agree. If the president says it's good, screw Congress, this, that, and the other. And all that can be undone. And I don't know how many days that it's going to take Donald Trump to do it in the first 100, but I bet you there's a bunch of stuff, if he's smart, right away, you can spend the first week probably in doing everything, and then you have a press conference, have your own press conference. Hey, I just reversed every single executive order that Barack Obama ever issued. Boy, you get major brownie points for that.
Oh, yeah, it's going to happen. And you know what you just said? He just expect everybody to follow on. That's the same thing that this entire election season for the Democrat Party was. They just expected people, educated white women to vote exactly how they expected them to vote. Well, that didn't happen, man. It just never happened that way because they expected it to happen. But people went, hey, we're people. We're individuals. We're not a voting bloc. We're actual, no kidding, people out here. We have our own lives. We think for ourselves. We're intelligent. We know what we're talking about. We look, we find out, we see this, we see that. We make up our own minds. We're not just automaton mind none robots.
Yeah, and let's not forget all these famous celebrities that were going to leave the country if Donald Trump got elected. I've yet to hear one of them come out and say, okay, I'm gone. But I've seen several of them come out and say, no, I'm not going anywhere.
To our detriment. I was like, damn, we can finally get rid of some of these asshats.
Yeah.
Nah, I guess not.
How much better the country would be if these people would leave. Take your money. Take your money and go.
Go. Understand that Canada's a little colder than Palm Springs, but go, see ya. Have a good time. Buy a big fur coat. Get a little baby seal fur coat. Hell, we'll get Donald Trump. We'll all get together. We'll go beat up on some baby seals and give them to you.
Yeah.
Because that's what they think we're going to do any damn way.
So anyway, we're coming up on a break here, and what I want to do before we actually go to break, I want to read you the letter I got from Barack Obama's organization the day after the election, because this will underscore what I would really kind of want to drive home today during the course of our conversation during the day in one shape or form or another. From the Democratic National Committee. By the way, all these letters that some of you people get out there from Barack Obama, you're not getting them from Barack Obama. You're getting them from the Democratic Party at Democrats.org, which is the email address of the Democratic National Committee. From Barack Obama to John Matthews, that's me. John, I know that for the most part, Tuesday night didn't go the way we hoped for. But we always knew that at the end of a long and hard-fought campaign, regardless of the outcome, we'd still have more work to do. So I want to take a few minutes to talk about what comes next. I'll be jumping on the phone with Democrats across the country at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Monday, November 14th. See, he hasn't even figured out it's EST now. Okay? But anyway, we'll give him that because He's still looking for the 7 states of the union that don't exist. November 14th, and I'd like you to join me. So that would be today. That would be either before or after his press conference this afternoon. The road ahead is certainly going to be bumpier than we expected. But that's okay, John. When we set out on this journey nearly 10 years ago, we knew it wouldn't be an easy one. And everything we've accomplished since then came about because of our hard work, our determination to make the change we wanted to see, no matter what obstacles confronted us. We can't get discouraged, John. We can't get cynical. As Hillary said on Wednesday morning, fighting for what is right is worth it. It's time to brush ourselves off, get back in the arena, and get ready to fight. RSVP now to reserve your spot on tomorrow's call, and I'll talk to you soon. By the way, you can still donate money to these guys, and they give the website that you go to join the call. Thanks, signed Barack. All right, so there you have it. Okay, guys, we got to go to break. When we come back, I will comment on this. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
City Talk Radio, WRS Ever wonder how the credit card companies make their money? Well, think about this. If you owe $25,000 on 5 different credit cards and you make your minimum payments every month, here's what it's going to cost you. Are you sitting down? You'll shell out over $13,000 in additional interest, and it's going to take over 13 years to pay off your original $25,000 balance. That's how they make money. Now it's your turn to fight back by calling the Debt Solutions Network. We'll work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. We promise we can and will reduce your debt. Call right now for a free 15-minute debt analysis. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, security, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you, and they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The ConservativeSyndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, along with Joe Hakos, and we were talking about Obama's press conference earlier this afternoon.
That letter, John, was really touching, man. It really,
yeah. That
tears right at my heartstrings, buddy?
Yeah, does it not just tug at everything that makes you feel like an American?
It's like right there, it's like, wow, he cares, John. He really does.
But the real point of reading it is just so you people out there understand, Barack Obama's not going away. All right, he's not going away. Now, I do believe that one of these days in the near future, he'll move up to wherever it is the UN people move to. But he's not going away as far as trying to influence Americans.
He's renting a mansion in Washington, D.C. He's not going anywhere. He's renting a mansion there, buddy.
Yeah.
He's moving down the street, bud.
Yeah, but I think you're going to start seeing him laying some heavy carbon footprints up towards the UN out there, wherever it is they meet. Where do they meet at? Siberia or something like? I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. Christchurch, New Zealand, Antarctica, McMurdo.
That's something we should look that up. Where is the UN headquarters actually based? I'm not even really sure. I mean,
other than New York,
huh?
Other than New York.
Oh, I have no idea. They're so irrelevant to me. I've never even really tried to figure them out.
Well, that's where they operate out of is New York.
Oh, okay, all right. So
yeah, what's the bill for that, by the way?
Hey, maybe that's what Donald Trump can do. Being a real estate mogul the way he is, raise the rent until they have to move.
Well, why don't we just evict them? Why raise the rent? Screw that. Just evict them.
Yeah, that would be great. Anyway, let me cover. Fortunately, I just caught an article here, just during the break here, and they are emphasizing some of the things that I heard when I watched the press conference. So I feel qualified to really kind of comment on it. I guess Obama's getting ready to make another trip overseas, his final trip overseas.
Yes.
Like I said, he's paving the way. Going to be laying some heavy carbon footprints out there.
Well, he's going to Peru, I think, isn't he?
Huh?
I think he's going to Peru, isn't he?
I'm not really sure. They don't mention it here. And like I said, I don't follow this guy. He's a lame duck. He's out. I'm not paying much attention to him. Other than what you can draw from him. See, he's already going back into community organizer mode. And that's really... not that he ever actually left. He just had a different title. Now it's going to go back to Barack Obama, former president, current community organizer, that kind of thing. And one of the questions he was asked during the press conference was advice that he gave Trump. Okay, what kind of advice did you give Donald Trump? And you can catch, you got to catch the little undertones because Obama, he tries, he's got the mojo going. And he tries to act so cool and calm and collective. Like I noticed today, he had on his DEFCON 1 gray hair. He was like, pretty much all gray. If you saw him on Friday, you would have seen that he had little spots of gray, but his hair was black. But today was pretty much in, I call it the DEFCON 1 gray. So you would all know how much he's aged from all the effort that he's made in transforming the United States of America. So he says, this is what he says. He tells him, he says, I emphasize to him, meaning Trump, that, look, in an election like this, it was so hotly contested and so divided, gestures matter. And how he reaches out to groups that may not have supported him, how he signals his interest in their issues or concerns, I think those are the kinds of things that can set a tone that will help move things forward once he has actually taken office. Now, the reason the thing that caught me when he said this was, I'm trying to remember when Barack Obama ever reached out to people that didn't support him. He never reached out. He would do,
I think he said, I think his exact words were, elections have consequences, and we won.
Yeah. Well, what was it to, who was it? Was it Andrew Jackson or Andrew Johnson? To the victor goes the spoils. One of those two. One of those two presidents.
It might have been Julius Caesar.
Huh? Oh, was it Julius Caesar?
Might have been him, yeah.
Oh,
sounds
okay.
Like that. Yeah, it sounds like somebody about like that. Anyway, it could have been Adolf Hitler for all I know.
No, I think that was one of the things. I think it must have been Andrew Johnson. I believe when he was first came under, wasn't he the other president was impeached?
Johnson was, yeah.
Okay, I remember reading a history book somewhere that was his response when Congress first started coming after him and saying, what you're doing is wrong. We don't like this. And he basically, I think that he was the one that was quoted as saying, to the victor goes the spoils. I just looked it up here, as much as we can believe Wikipedia, okay? The term derived from the phrase, to the victor belongs the spoils, by New York Senator William L. Marcy, referring to the victory of the Jackson Democrats in the election of 1828. Okay. So the term spoils means goods or benefits taken from the loser in a competition, election, or military victory. Wikipedia. All right. Yeah, I think it was Caesar said it's only hubris if you lose. All right. Anyway, the point being is that here Obama is giving Donald Trump advice that he himself never followed. That's my point.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, that's nothing unusual.
Yeah, because we used to hear Obama do this all the time. I'm willing to listen to anybody. I'm willing to talk to anybody, and then just quickly turn around and say, but I don't like what everybody's saying, so we're going to do this through executive order. So while he's out creating the carbon footprint the size of Jupiter, Jupiter's a very large planet for those that haven't gone to high school or elementary school. Okay. Anyway, the president plans on traveling to President Barack Hussein Obama plans on going to Greece, Athens, Greece, to Berlin, and Germany, former Eastern Western Germany. Yes. Okay. And finally, Lima, Peru. And then he's going to come back to Washington, D.C. on Sunday, where he's going to be brought in on an ass, and he's going to have palm trees thrown down in branches thrown down in front of him. Oh, so he's going over to Germany. I guess him and Merkel have got to figure out what they can do together. Exactly. They're going to go and talk about, Angela, I don't know what Don said. Don told me, he didn't tell me much in the meeting we talked about. He said he really likes Rocky Road ice cream, but other than that, he really didn't say much about immigration and refugees and that kind of thing. Angela, you're going to have to ask him on your own. Well, they'll probably discuss how do we use Brexit to our advantage or something like that. Oh, I'm sure he's going to do that. I mean, there's going to be some, because he was trying to shore up these trade deals that he was working. That's what the initial trip was, because, damn well, they actually thought Hillary Clinton was going to win that election. Well, that was also, that was one of the things he addressed here. They asked him a question about Donald Trump's appointment so far. Reince Priebus as the chief of staff, and Stephen Bannon as his one of his advisors. And it says here, what he's talking about, he says, let's see, how did he put it here? He was saying, I got to find it here, how he reaches out, Obama's, how difficult Trump just may actually find it to overturn all of Obama's legacies. Here it is. Donald Trump expressed a great interest in maintaining our core strategic relationships. And so one of the messages I will be able to deliver is the commitment to NATO and the transatlantic alliance. I think that's one of the most important functions. Okay, now I'm looking for the one here. I'm scrolling through this thing. So there's going to be elements of his temperament that will not serve him well unless he recognizes them and corrects them.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, but what was it here? Maybe it was farther down here. Here we go. Let's see.
Do I have concerns? Absolutely, Obama said.
Okay, here we go.
Issue.
The president also predicted that even a unified Republican government would struggle to roll back significant parts of his legacy, which Democrat Hillary Clinton made a key part of her losing campaign platform. All right. We lost based on everything I've done, but the Republicans are going to have a very difficult time overturning this. He says Iran is a good example of the gap. Some of the rhetoric is in this town unique to the president-elect and the reality. To unravel a deal that's working and preventing Iran from pursuing nuclear weapons, it's not working, you asshat.
Yeah, they just went over their little allotment, their allowance of nuclear material. Although they said they're going to sell it off to somebody to get underneath the threshold, but they've already gone past the threshold before he's even out of office.
Yeah, here he's saying the Paris Climate Agreement is helping car companies. All right, and so he's not going to want to turn that. Obamacare is working because we have 20 million people that now have affordable health care insurance, which is, and by the way, half of those people had health insurance before. So,
the same people that were happy before were the poor ones and the rich ones. Everybody else is still unhappy about it.
Yeah, so, he's just painting his picture that the things that he did weren't really that bad. And as much as the Republicans may want to undo this stuff, they're really going to have a hard time doing it because it's working. Okay, in his mind, it's working. This guy really needs to go psychiatric evaluation. Somebody needs to really just kind of put him on a couch and figure out what's making this guy tick. Because it has nobody figured out on this side of the aisle, on that side of the aisle, you just got beat. You didn't just get beat a little bit. You got beat across the board. You got beat in the White House. You got beat in the Senate. You got beat in the House. You got beat in the governor's race. You got beat in the legislatures, state legislators. How many more victories do we have to prove to you that nobody wants what you're doing?
Well, that would never happen, John, because they're always right. They're always right. It's just the wrong people tried to do it, John.
Yeah. Now, I have an article here I want to share with you. We got to go to break here. But it's just the audacity of what these liberals think as to whether or not what they think is the truth, regardless of everything else that indicates otherwise. We'll share that with you when we get back here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and let me get. We got some stuff here I want to talk about here. Try to get this done before we get to the top of the break here. Talking about, Obama's press conference, obviously to protect his legacy, to continue everything we hear from this guy. He's going across the world. I guess he'll be giving speeches about everything, how great he has, all the great things he's accomplished here in America. And, it won't be, it doesn't matter that, he just got his clock cleaned. The Democrats have lost again, mightily and handily. But they're still out there raving and bragging about how together they all have it and how little the rest of us really understand how good Barack Obama is and how good Hillary Clinton would have been. Here's an article, and this is what I mean, the audacity. I mentioned that word before the break, and I picked that word particularly because that describes Barack Obama. I think they ought to rename his book, The Audacity of Dope. But here it is. Washington Post, Chris Cillizza, one of Hillary Clinton's top aides, nailed exactly why she lost. This is a quote from Clinton media consultant Mandy Grunwald. How it will happen, talking about the election, how it will happen will be that the desire for change was greater than the fear of Donald Trump, the fear of the risk. That's something we, meaning the Clinton campaign, talked about very early on. How do we make sure that people aren't comfortable making that leap because they'd like to go for change? The question is, what's the more salient question when they go to vote? In essence, the guy summarizes it by saying, the election in a nutshell, change versus risk. From the start, Clinton's general election campaign was heavily focused on painting Trump as someone whom voters not only had disagreed with on issues, but someone who was also fundamentally unqualified for the job he was seeking. What's fascinating, he goes on to say, is that the Clinton campaign, at least Grunwald, didn't misread the electorate as conventional wisdom over the past 6 days has suggested. She understood that it was a change versus more of the same dynamic, and that the desire for change was very, very strong. Why did Clinton lose? Because no one understood, meaning on the left, just how much people wanted change and how big of a risk they were willing to take to put someone way outside of the political system into the White House. He just, I think, very articulately puts out there what we have been saying and still exists amongst the media elites, amongst the establishment types, and certainly amongst people like Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, and even on the Republican side. They've completely forgot. The way I put it was this. People wouldn't care if Donald Trump had a harem and was swigging down moonshine with the KKK every afternoon. They didn't care about any of that stuff. What they cared about was, we want change. We want something different than what we keep getting. And Donald Trump was that guy, with all of his faults, with all of his whether he's qualified for office or not. It doesn't make any difference. I mean, how qualified do you have to really be to step into a position that nobody understands until they actually step into that position? I mean, you really know we can sit here on the outside, on a park bench and talk about what a president should do and how a president should do it. But until you actually step into that position, as Dennis Miller put, you get the book on how really screwed up it is. How nobody's qualified for that job. Absolutely nobody. And when we talk about qualifications, what do they normally refer to? Network, the contacts you have, your ability to influence, not necessarily how to govern, but how to move people in a certain direction. That was Barack Obama's qualification. He knew how to move people.
That's the problem right there. How to govern? No, not how to govern. People don't need to be governed. The president is supposed to lead the nation.
Well, okay, I get it, and that's I probably should have used those words, because when I talk about how to govern, it should be how to keep your nose out of everybody's business. At the federal level, it's not what you do. It's knowing that you're not supposed to be really doing that much. Your job, the president's job, really is very easy when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. It's it's already written down. It's in the Constitution what exactly you're supposed
protect
to do.
Our borders and protect our rights and stay the hell out of everything else.
There you go. It's that simple. Execute the laws the best you can.
Yeah.
Period. Boom.
I did catch an article over the weekend. I thought I just touched on it. I haven't really sat down and read it in depth. And it was talking about the situation. When we talk about what needs to change now, and the first thing what has to happen. I don't know how it's going to take place, but what has to happen is we need to turn this government's three branches back up to where they're supposed to be. Right now, the Supreme Court is the legislative branch of the government. The executive branch is the legislative branch of the government, and the legislative branch is nothing. And we need to get this turned back where the executive branch is what? Implementing and executing what they're supposed to do as determined by Congress. And we really need to start setting some kind of a litmus test out there as to what the Supreme Court can even really hear. They should be hearing every little thing, every little gripe and bitch from somebody who's not getting their way. That's not the purpose of the Supreme Court. The purpose of the Supreme Court is to determine the constitutionality of legislation, not to determine the constitutionality of an issue or a debate.
You know what? It's funny you talked about Obama. I just got a little thing from his speech today, his little presser.
Okay.
Right? This just goes to show that they're never going to get it. So he goes, there's going to be there's going to be a core set of values that shouldn't be up for debate, should be our North Star. But how we organize politically, I think, is something that we should spend some time thinking about. Here he goes. I believe that we have better ideas, but I also believe good ideas don't matter if people don't hear them. And one of the issues Democrats have, to be clear, is on given population distribution across the country. We have to compete everywhere. We have to show up everywhere. We have to work at the grassroots level. Something needs that's been running thread in my career. I won Iowa not because the demographics dictated that I would win Iowa. It was because I spent 87 days going to every small town fair and fish fry and VFW hall, and where some counties where I might have lost, but I maybe lost them by 20 points instead of 50.
Yeah, see, that's it. The community organizer. That he's right back on that narrative. All right, we got to go to a break here. We're at the bottom of the hour here, or top of the hour. Time for the Edwards Notebook, and we're going to comment more on this when we get back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Stripping money from the U.S. military budget to pour into government school systems is simply exacerbating two major problems. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, government schools in America have for years received enough money to ensure that more money is spent per student throughout the Republic than almost any other nation on earth. Yet, overall, America ranks 30th in the world in education quality, proving that spending the most money does not ensure the highest quality. especially since the actual goal of American government school educators is to indoctrinate American students into being glorified, socially conscious globalists who are more in league with the United Nations, open borders, and climate change dogma than reading, writing, arithmetic, and true American history. In addition, the stripping away of needed funding from what has been the best military in the world has produced massive shortages in needed supplies at every level. Thus, the military is now at best heavily strained in the effort to protect America and maintain stability throughout the world. Hopefully, the scenario of double trouble is soon corrected through a return to providential guidance and an appreciation for America the Beautiful. I'm Ron Edwards.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, hey, we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and I was out here cruising social media during the break while we were sitting here, just because I like to keep track of what's going on out there if something breaks. And I ran across a little meme out here. Apparently, this was a photograph that somebody took at an establishment somewhere. I don't know where they don't identify where they saw it, but here it is. Today, there are three kinds of people: the haves, the have-nots, and the have-not paid for what they haves. And I think that's pretty accurate. And by the way, the media site that I got off of this is a blue bleeding liberal. Okay, somebody that I follow. The haves, the have-nots, and the have-not paid for what they have. All right, remember, folks, it's not free if your neighbor pays for it, right? Okay, we were talking about Obama's press conference here, and Joe had read part of the transcript out there, something Obama was talking about in terms of how great he's made everything. And I want to read just a small segment here because Joe's compiled a nice little list for us that we really can put things in their proper context and perspective. But part of what he says here in his press conference this afternoon is part of what makes this country work. And as long as I'm president, we are going to uphold these norms and cherish and uphold these ideals. As I told my staff, we should be very proud that their work has already ensured that when we turn over the keys, the car's in pretty good shape. Remember that was one of his opening analogies?
Yeah.
Okay. We are indisputably in a stronger position today than we were when I came in 8 years ago. This election has nothing to do with Obama, all right? Jobs have been growing for 73 straight months. Incomes are rising. Poverty is falling. The uninsured rate is at its lowest level on record. Carbon emissions have come down without impinging on our growth. And so my instructions to my team are that we run through the tape. We make sure that we finish what we started and that we don't let up in these last couple months, because my goal is on January 21st, America's in the strongest position possible. And hopefully there's an opportunity for the next president to build on that. This guy has no clue. No, he does have a clue, but it's not about the next president. It's not about America. It's about Barack Obama. Joe's compiled a nice little list for us of what things are like now compared to when Barack Obama took office. You got the con, Joe.
Well, he's out there with his little presser, and I just found this to be quite more of the same with Obama. Here's what's important to Obama, and thus it's supposed to be important to all Americans, okay? Obama, because our alliances are in strong shape, are the progress we've made with respect to carbon emissions has been greater than any country on earth. And gas is $2 a gallon. Now, carbon emissions could have been greatly reduced if he would have just spent his happy little butt home instead of flying around on Air Force One campaigning for Hillary Clinton. That might have reduced some carbon footprint.
Yeah.
It's $2 a gallon gas. I'm sorry. It was $1.86 when he took office. And it was probably lower in some other locales as well.
Yeah, well, in California is $2.55 a gallon right now. So
yeah, come on, and as I put you down here, at one time we had a manned space program, but now we have to call the Russian space cab company so we can get into orbit.
Yeah, and by the way, NASA has turned into the climate change documenters.
Yeah, that and the Muslim Outreach Center.
Yeah.
I'm serious. That's what he told them. That's what they had to do. Muslim outreach. Oh, and the other thing is, then he gets asked specifically about the announcement of Steve Bannon, who is a proponent of the so-called alt-right movement, what many call the white nationalist movement. What the hell is white nationalist movement? What the hell is that?
I don't know. I can't figure that out any more than I can figure out what the Black Lives Matter movement is about. You know, they tag these names on everything, but they're what they are is they're names that identify the narrative they're trying to push. It doesn't identify what's actually going on. The white nationalist movement, of course, is an organization that, in the eyes of the liberals, wants racial genocide.
What's the name of that organization?
You mean the KKK or the Aryan Brotherhood?
Yeah, what's the white nationalist movement?
I don't know.
Yeah, what's that? It's BS. It's total BS. There's nationalists. People want to have a sovereign United States. Yes, that's nationalism. I'll give them that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the idea of perpetrating white Americans, who have white privilege, and we want to exert that privilege by. We want. I guess I'm just trying to answer your question for them. What they're saying here is, white nationalist movement is a movement to eradicate anybody who's not white from the country.
So everybody else that voted in this election. There was just white people voted.
Yeah, you would think so, huh? Well, it's only white people that voted for Trump.
Yeah, so Trump won with nothing but white people.
Yeah.
That's it. No one else voted for Trump?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't take...
It's very insulting, as I know. A lot of other people voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah, Trump didn't take more of the black vote than Mitt Romney, and John McCain, for that matter. Okay, Trump didn't take more of the Asian vote than any of the other candidates before him. Hillary Clinton didn't get the black vote. She didn't get the black vote. I was hearing numbers 12% drop in the black turnout. Wow. So I guess it was just all us white folk.
Just all white people voted. That's it. So just white people went out and voted. Took the time to vote this time.
Yeah.
Okay, right. And this comes out of White House press corps.
All right. We got to go to a break here. That was a short segment. We're at the end of that. We got to go to a break here. When we come back, I want to expound on something here. Conversation I set up in the conference that will fit this thing about the white nationalist movement. A way of explaining it. I think, you'll find very informative and entertaining at the same time. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. Quick word of encouragement. Pick up this archive or any of our archives out at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. Theconservativesyndicate.net. All right, I want to build just a little bit on what Joe was sharing with us before we went to break. We're talking about how Barack Obama's out there touting everything and how much better the world is since he's been president and everything else. And Joe gave us a few pointers here. You know, and along with that, you know, Obama's talking about job numbers and, 73 million jobs and, the unemployment's down the lowest it's been, since he took office and, just a long list of skewed data and self-perceived greatness that this man has perpetrated upon the country. And I was thinking, we were talking about the race issue and stuff like that. And one of the things I want to share a little bit of a conversation I had up in the weekend. I think this may be a very simple way of explaining what Obama has done, but also what Obama will continue to do. And it really has to do with racism. Racism is probably the greatest weapon that Barack Obama has had since he took office. It was his way of sequestering Congress. Everything came down to race. If they didn't like what I like and they didn't want what I wanted, it was because I'm black.
It helped him get the nomination to begin with against Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Well, that was because he was black. Okay, that we know. In the same way, the majority of people voted for Hillary Clinton simply because she's a woman. It was the same reason that many of them voted for Barack Obama. I've read commentators out here who have said, I wanted to be part of history, but I didn't know history was going to look like this after we helped vote in the first black president, or as I refer to him, first half-white president. Okay, a black man with no black history, by the way, contrary to what people think. And I meet with a lot of black activists in the time I've been on the air here and through churches and everything else, and they all tell me the same thing. To them, Obama's not black because he has no black history. He was raised by white people, went to white schools, received white scholarships. Okay? He's not black. All right? Anyway, the conversation I was having with a pastor up in the conference I was at this weekend, and we were talking about, he was expressing to me fear that many in his congregation, being pretty much a vast majority of Hispanics, what was going to come down the pipe here. And the fear was based on the fact that many of them had bought into the narrative that Donald Trump is a racist and that people who vote for Donald Trump are racists and bigots and xenophobes and deplorables and unredeemable and everything else. So I said, well, let me explain to you how this works. This is how you use race to divide. I come into your church as an activist. And I may come in and you may know I'm an activist or I may not. But let's put it this way. I go out and I campaign, or I go out and I begin a movement somewhere in your community. And through media or directly, whether it's a gathering, a protest, or a rally, or whatever, the message I'm going to give you is that because of your color, you are at a disadvantage of ever achieving, quote-unquote, the American dream. Because there really is no equality in America because of the fact that white men rule everything. And so I give you that narrative. No matter, the American dream is based on hard work, tenacity, faithfulness, and understanding who you are as an American. Opportunity. You understand opportunity. And so you grasp it. You completely ignore the fact that there are others of your same ethnicity that have achieved everything, and in a lot of ways, more than most white Americans. Okay, I could go down a list. I'm not going to do that, but we look at people like Condoleezza Rice or Norman Thomas, people like that. Barack Obama, for all intents and purposes, overcame whatever he thinks he is and was able to rise to the highest office of the land. Okay, so they've been able to achieve, but that's not the point. The point is that they're the exception to the rule, and they're seldom even mentioned when in the conversations about racism. So what it is the majority of Hispanics, because I was using his particular church, his congregation, buy into the narrative that they're at a disadvantage, and it's because of whites. There's too many whites that hold them down. Now, this is what I do then, is I somehow infiltrate the white culture or the white people, and I don't do it necessarily directly. I do it through media contacts and stuff like that. And I start putting out the paradigm that white people, because of their white privilege, don't understand the plight of those who are not white. And so what I do is I begin to ridicule and criticize you as a white person and tell you that basically everything is in your favor simply because of the color of your skin. Now, the vast majority of Americans may just brush that off at first. It's like, oh yeah, the guy's an idiot, just, talking out the side of his mouth, or the girl's an idiot, whatever, and we ignore it. But it becomes the persistent narrative, and it keeps coming back at us. It keeps getting thrown back at us. That because of our whiteness, we have a particular status in this country that nobody else can attain or obtain through any effort at all. No matter how hard we work, we're always going to be held down because the white man controls everything. So what happens is, as you begin to do that, people begin to look at it and say, wait a minute, I'm not like that. Why are people telling me that I'm like that? Now, I'm not saying that every white person in America is squeaky clean on this stuff, any more than any Hispanic or black or Asian. There are racists come in all creeds and colors, all right? We understand. If you've got the IQ of seaweed, you know that. Black Lives Matter is a racist movement, by the way, created by white men to exploit black men, all right? So the people that are your friends are not actually your friends, but here's my point. Getting back to my point here. So what happens is, I began to campaign for socioeconomic equality. Things like minimum wage, $15 an hour, entitlements, we need food stamps. Welfare is a way of subsidizing your disadvantage of being some color other than white. And so then what do? Is I go and I tell to the white people, because of your white privilege, you should be willing to give something to these other people who can't obtain what you have because you're white. And so at some point in time, the narrative gets to this place where the people that are being victimized are actually the ones that have been used to victimize the other ones. So everybody's feeling victimized. And so now what do? I keep that division up. And when somebody like Donald Trump gets up there, somebody who has maybe not the most articulate way of saying things, I think his daughter said it best once, my father is an equal opportunity offender. Okay, so what happens is he gets up and says something like, Mexico sends us all their rapists and drug addicts. Okay, well, people take that and say he's applying that to everybody. He's not applying it to everybody. Just look at the Mario boat lift. We've used that as an example back here in '68. That's what Castro did. He wanted to clean his country out of the people he didn't want there, the people that wouldn't produce for the state. Ship them up to the U.S. That's what he meant when he was talking about Mexico sends us these people. The point being is that these people are mixed in with everybody else. He never said that every Mexican was a rapist or a drug addict. He just said they send us these people. He never was able or never made the effort to really kind of differentiate on that. But the point being is the narrative has been planted. So now what happens is I come back to the white group and I keep pounding this white privilege thing. And I go back to the groups of color and I keep telling them it's the white privilege that's the problem. And we're going to make the white man pay for it. Or the way the leftists talk about it, the 1%. We're going to make the 1% subsidize your inequality in this country. All right? Now, what happens is a majority of the white people in the country begin to hear this, and after a while they go, wait a minute, we're the ones being oppressed here. We're the ones that everybody's being racist against. We're the ones that are now under attack. And what happens? They respond. That's what happens. That's what has made America great. Try to oppress us and watch how fast we decide we're not going to take it. And so now what you've got is you've got people on one side claiming that they're disadvantaged because of the people on the other side, and the people on the other side are saying, I never thought about it that way, but you keep bringing it up, and now I'm going to do something to shut you up. And so what you have is what we call the silent majority. And the silent majority are the ones that elected Donald Trump. The people that normally would have stayed out of this election cycle because they really don't care about politics. They don't care about the rhetoric. They don't care about the narrative. They don't care about the paradigm. We still had over 100 million people in this election that didn't vote.
Yeah, that's telling every single time.
Yeah, and there's an indicator there. What happened in this election cycle was that white America got tired of being labeled. They got tired of being accused. When in actuality, most of us in white America are just like the rest of you guys. We're trying to make ends meet. We're trying to build a future. We're trying to keep our marriages together. We're trying to get our kids through school. We're trying to make a better life for them than we had. And all this idea that you are disadvantaged because of the color of your skin is pure crap. It's pure BS, and it is an issue that is recycled every election in one shape or form or another. The difference being this time, you had somebody that looked the part, he looked black, and he was able to carry this narrative, and it became more effective because he could use it as leverage. And so, therefore, now we have this volatile political divide. And now you throw and you do the same thing with the youth. You go to the youth and you tell them it's the old people that are keeping you back. And you go to the old people and say, you need to do more to help your kids. God, what parent in the world, any decent parent is not trying to help their kids? But now we've got safe spaces in universities where kids can go and cry every time something happens that upsets them. Okay? Safe space, come in here. We'll give you counseling. When we get back from break, I want to share with you these. I've pulled up 2 articles today. I can't believe this. This is so idiotic. But this shows you how overrated education is. We have a country full of educated or indoctrinated derelicts, and I'm going to share with you a couple of those articles. When I read one of them here, I'm going to share with you. I literally almost wet my pants. I was laughing so hard. It is totally ridiculous. But this is a narrative. It's the youth against the older generation. It's kill your parents. That's the narrative from the left. Kill your parents, get rid of them because they don't know what they're doing. We'll take care of you. Big Brother will take care of you. You don't need your mom and dad. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Ever wonder how the credit card companies make their money? Well, think about this. If you owe $25,000 on 5 different credit cards and you make your minimum payments every month, here's what it's going to cost you. Are you sitting down? You'll shell out over $13,000 in additional interest, and it's going to take over 13 years to pay off your original $25,000 balance. That's how they make money. Now it's your turn to fight back by calling the Debt Solutions Network. We'll work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. We promise we can and will reduce your debt. Call right now for a free 15-minute debt analysis. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And to close up our little discussion here on Obama's press conference, Joe, you had another observation that you made today?
Yeah, it's just a pet peeve of mine. I get really tired of hearing it, and it's really annoying to me because it's so false, and it just when we talk about the American educational system, this is one of those things. I guess if you say it enough times, then I guess it becomes fact. But this is totally false. Here's Obama today, talking about Donald Trump and does he have reservations? He goes, "Do I have concerns? Absolutely, I have a lot of concerns. He and I differ on a whole bunch of." Issues. But the federal government and our democracy is not a speedboat. Well, I have a problem there. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. If we were a democracy, then California, Illinois, and New York would be telling us how the hell to live right now today if we were a democracy, because they have the greatest population centers going on, and that would be the end of it. And people everywhere else in the country would have to bow down to the wills of the people of California, New York, or Illinois. So we are a constitutional republic. I'm tired of hearing this word democracy. We never were a democracy. We never were. If you want them to be a democracy, then get your butt off and get a constitutional amendment to change it. But we're a republic. Period.
Yeah, and this is one of the elements, one of the things, one of the talking points, if you want to use that term, that you're going to hear on this show a lot. There are certain things that, now that we've kind of stopped the bleeding, we've got a tourniquet on it. It could, if that tourniquet is let go, it could, start bleeding all over again, or hemorrhaging for that matter. And we've got an opportunity here. God has given us some breathing room. And
we've been given a chance is what we've been given.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to start emphasizing some of this stuff. We are going to educate or re-educate, depending on how ignorant you are. And I'm not saying that to be critical. Some of it is beyond your understanding or knowledge because you've never been told it. You younger folks out there who've been going to school, I talk to my grandkids and ask them there about what's being taught in their history and their civics classes. And they don't know half of the stuff we're talking about. I was talking to my neighbor the other day, and he admitted to me that he voted for Hillary Clinton. And when I asked him why, it was because he didn't like Donald Trump the way he talked to women. And I'm like, okay, so you're okay with a baby killer, all right? And I said, do you know that Bill Clinton was disbarred for obstruction of justice in the what was it? The impeachment trial that they were going to have on him. Do you know that? Do you know that he was a sexual predator? And did you know that he was disbarred because of his lying, obstructing justice? And here's a man that is almost as old as me, probably 10 years younger than me, had no knowledge of that. And I'm like, you're kidding. I said,
well, let's fix it, John. Look, we have 18-year-olds that were able to vote in this election. All they've known as far as presidency is Barack Obama.
Yeah. I told him, did you know that Hillary Clinton was disbarred? Did you know that she was thrown out of law because of unethical conduct? No, I didn't know that. So you're telling me that it all came down to a man saying something to a woman that men say to women every day? And, I'm not trying to justify his actions, but the gauge, your reasoning gauge here is just way out of kilter. And it's because you don't know who you voted for. You don't.
And relevancy thing as well, because what they were talking about happened years ago.
Yeah.
Years ago. And it's like, okay, so you can go back years ago for Trump, but you're not going to go back years ago for Clinton?
No. And you only have to go back a couple of years if you want to get into the Clinton corruption and all the other stuff. And, it was kind of a little, I hated taking the guy to task. He's a very nice guy. He's a great neighbor. But I asked him, I said, how can you as a Christian, because I know he's a Christian, I know he's a very devout Christian. How can you as a Christian, how can you vote for somebody that supports abortion? And he's like, well, how can you vote for somebody that treats women the way they do? I said, for one, I'm not sure that's how he treats women. I know there were allegations made. And we have a video that 11 years ago he made some comments about a woman. I said, but, think of this. Think of it. Let's weigh one against the other. So he tried to throw the Bible at me. Well, God doesn't measure sin. I said, no, he doesn't. But he measures lives. And if we're talking about people that were ordained in the womb being wiped out, do you think that just might be a little bit more, concerning to God than the fact that Donald Trump, who isn't even a Christian for that...
that moral equivalency doesn't really stick now, does it?
Huh?
That moral equivalency doesn't really stick now, does it?
No. I'm like, I agree that there is no sin that is greater than another when you talk about sin and how God defines it.
Well, I do believe this, that there's a special place in hell for those that destroy children.
Oh, yeah.
God did say.
Yeah, so, but the point being is, you're trying, is that your justification? You're going to take murder and put it against adultery and think that murder is less important? I'm like, wow, it just blew me away. But that is actually an attitude expressed by a lot of Christians. But anyway, I want to get out of that. Your point is well taken, Joe, and that's one of the things we're going to start pounding here. And we're not going to be talking about.
I keep on hearing it all the time. We're our democracy, blah blah blah. No, we're a constitutional republic.
Yeah. We have a democratic process in that there is built into our republic a means by which the population can express what they want.
Yes, democracy is something we practice.
Right. But the republic is the established infrastructure of how the country and the government functions. And that when we talk about these issues, it's within the concept of the infrastructure and the way that the government is supposed to operate, not necessarily what people want in terms of just, the rule by the mob is how I refer to it. Democracy is rule by the mob, or the squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of stuff. And
exactly. Which is what they're screaming about the Electoral College and everything. Democracy. Well, I'm sorry, but we're a constitutional republic, and thank God we are.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
and like I said,
three regions of the country just making everybody else follow what they say because we don't have enough voice.
Yeah, I said at the very beginning of the show, Joe just reiterated what I was mentioning. The idea that if this election demonstrated perhaps better than any election that we've had in the past in my lifetime, as to what the Electoral College is for, that we were not subject to the will of one or two states simply by sheer numbers. They're saying, okay, California and New York, between them, what is that? 1/3 of the electoral votes that somebody needs to get in office. And if it had been popular vote, because I guarantee you, most of those popular votes that are above the number, I'm sure that most of them were in California. California and New York, okay? And how do we know that? 20% of the votes in California had been in before they called California for Clinton. To only 20%. All right, so if it was popular vote, after they counted all those, and Hillary's numbers didn't add up until after everything was over and the election was called, and they were still counting votes out here in California, and that's how she got that number. And there were votes being counted in New York also, very highly populated states. But that's what the Electoral College was. The will of a virtual minority in sense of the entire nation, not necessarily in numbers, but the geographics of our country. We would have been misrepresented. If it had been popular vote, we would all be subject to what that majority wanted. And that's not the way it's supposed to work. That is the check and balance. The smaller states have a voice, and that's how it's supposed to work out. It's not about we'll talk about that. We won't be able to talk about that today, but
no.
The electoral process is something that we're going to hammer home because that is the essence of a republic. That is the essence. That is the one thing that separates us from the rest of the peons that are out there, call themselves democracies and combinations thereof. Anyway, we got to go to our quick break here. When we get back, I do want to share with you what's going on in the universities today. This is just comical. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The ConservativeSyndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction.
All right. We're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. I got to get into this article here. And preface it with, another one here I'm just going to mention just for the sake of context. Out of the National Review, by the way, National Review, which should have actually just at some point in time announced that they were actually for Hillary Clinton, but they never did. The corner, the one and only, emotional coddling doesn't help college students, it hurts them. An article by George Leaf at the National Review is talking about a piece written by J. Christian Adams at George Mason University offered a healing space for students on campus yesterday. This is at George Mason University. And this is what's happening all around the country. We've got safe spaces being once again erected to help those students, college students, deal with the trauma and the fear and the anxiety of a Donald Trump presidency. So I guess all their thoughts of free college have gone out the window, and who's to blame but Donald Trump. But here's a better article. This is the one I wanted to get at. USA Today, Glenn Harlan Reynolds. Tolerant educators exile Trump voters from campus. All right?
Sounds tolerant to me.
Okay, here we go. Just going to read you a couple of paragraphs, and then we'll outline what's going on with the schools here. One of the more amusing bits of fallout from last week, I don't think amusing, it's pitiful, last week's election has been the safe space response of many colleges and universities to the election of the wrong candidate. But on closer examination, this response isn't really amusing. In fact, it's downright mean. Donald Trump's substantial victory, when most progressives expected a Hillary Clinton landslide, came as a shock to many. That shock seems to have been multiplied in academia, where few people seem to know any Trump supporters, or at least any Trump supporters who will admit it. The response to the shock has been to turn campuses into kindergarten. The University of Michigan Law School announced a post-election self-care event with food and play, including coloring sheets, Play-Doh, positive card making, Legos, and bubbles with your fellow law students. Embarrassed by the attention, University of Michigan Law School scrubbed the announcement from its website, perhaps concerned that people would wonder whether its graduates would require Legos and bubbles in the event of stressful litigation.
Yeah, I mean, how are they going to be lawyers if they're going to be like that so upset over an election?
Stanford emailed its students and faculty that psychological counseling was available for those experiencing uncertainty, anger, anxiety, and or fear. The University of Flint, Michigan's Flint campus did the same thing. It goes on to say, meanwhile, even the Ivy League was not immune. University of Pennsylvania, which happens to be Trump's alma mater, you would think they'd be holding up a banner saying one of our guys got elected, creating a post-election safe space with puppies and coloring books. Student Daniel DeCreedy reported that the people who attended were fearful about the results of the election. For the most part, students just hung out and ate snacks and made small talk, Tancredi told the College Fix. Of course, that was in addition to coloring and playing with the animals. Right? Cornell University had poster boards with colored markers, and you could have chalk to draw on the ground. Okay?
This is college students, right?
Yeah, this is college guys. Ivy League colleges, by the way, major universities. By the way, which most of your pundits on liberal television come from.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Oh my goodness.
All right. Several adults, most likely professors, stood around the group, and it took on the appearance of a funeral wake. Yale had a group scream. Got everybody together, and I guess on the count of three, scream. All right?
Oh, the primal screaming therapy. Yes, I remember that.
All right. Tufts University offered arts and craft, while the University of Kansas reminded students that there were plenty of therapy dogs available. At other schools, exams were canceled, and professors expressed their sympathy to traumatized students.
Traumatized.
Okay? So, this is what's going on the educational campuses or the indoctrination centers, which in some cases here we taxpayers are paying for. You've got your kids paying. Those of you who've got kids in universities, and you're paying. We figured out. I was talking with somebody this weekend that has a child in a university up in north somewhere, Berkeley, I think they are, and was telling me $90,000 a semester is what they lay out. All right, I'm looking at that. And I'm going, you have got to be kidding me. You're paying $90,000 a year to be indoctrinated to be a communist social that needs puppies for therapy when things don't go your own way?
Yeah, and it's like, hey, who is going to actually defend this nation at some time? The old people can't do it all the time. The younger generation is going to have to step up, and there are quite a few of the younger generation that are stepping up. The 1%, that's the 1% you should be proud of. Those people, but these guys are just poor little whiny rich little kids that don't really have their values set right.
Yeah. Well, it's because their parents don't have their values set right. I mean, if I had a kid in college and he called me up and was like, Dad, I don't know if I'm going to be able to cope here. Donald Trump just got elected. I'd say, okay, you know what? Come home. And I'll go. And once you get here, we'll see if we can get you a job flipping burgers down at McDonald's. Because that's all you're ever going to accomplish with your life. I'm not paying money to have you turn into some kind of toad.
It's just unbelievable. But I do appreciate you letting me go ahead and getting off my rant about democracy and the republic before. I do appreciate that. That was so much to get off my chest. I needed to do that. And these people here, these safe spacers, these precious little snowflakes, they're just going to have to suck it up, Buttercup, because this is the way it is. I mean, is that what we were supposed to do the last 8 years? Was crawl in a hole and whine and die? No. If you don't like what happened in the election, get off your butt, get out there, and do exactly what had to happen this time.
Right.
I'm looking at a picture from September 12th, 2009. There was a tea party in Washington, D.C. in response to Barack Obama and the Congress, Democrat-led House and Senate passing Obamacare, blah, blah, blah. And there was 1 million people out there. That's a protest. What we see out there today are riots. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
And that 2009 picture, when they left, you didn't even know they were there because they picked up after themselves and they left the place as good as they found it.
I one thing this election has done, and I've got to really see. I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm not really sure if I can or not because of the time element. I don't know how involved it will be. I live across the street from a community college. Mm-hmm. And it is a very popular community college out here, Cerritos Junior College, or Cerritos College. It's a junior college. They just call it college. And almost it is largely minority occupied. I mean, the vast majority of the students come from all around the area here. And like I said, I live in a very liberal section of the state. Lots of blacks, Hispanics, Muslims, just all over the place. And, I'm okay with it. They want an education. That's great. The thing is, I'm really thinking about enrolling in one of their political science classes just to go in there and rock the boat. It would be great just to go in there and argue with a professor or something, I got to look at it. I got to look at their schedule. They send me programs all the time, I'm going to check it out and see. It might be worth it, just if nothing else, just to have. It would be a nice hobby, to be able to go in and let me go in and rock the boat. I'd love to get one of those really ultra liberal professors, and just be the guy in the class that's always raising his hand, going, "You're as wrong as the day is long."
Yeah, it's not what the Constitution.
Who cares if I pass or not? I'm 62 years old. I'm not looking for a degree. You
can flunk me. That's okay.
Anyway, we're coming up on the end of the show here. Well, we got about a minute and a half here before we got to actually shut down. Just a quick comment, if I can. I was looking at Megyn Kelly has released a book. Megyn Kelly, the great fox. There's an article in USA Today. Megyn Kelly, certified nails woman, and he writes about how Megyn Kelly is basically. A lot of people don't know this, but she wants to be. She's like a wannabe. I guess she wants to be like one of the country's leading women activists.
Oh, yes, because she's the protector of all women.
Yeah, she's the protector of women, all right? And the book, apparently, she dresses down other women that say, they're being dealt with unfairly and stuff. She's like, well, it's kind of like what we say around here, buck up, sissy pants. You don't like what's going on? That's too bad. Work around it, whatever. She says in here things like, my general approach when hitting a sexist glass ceiling is to crash right through it with stellar work product. Well, I guess, the bar's pretty low, Megan. So, your stellar work product is being measured by who knows what. It isn't by journalistic integrity. That's for damn sure. So, anyway, you got any party shots here, Joe, in the last, we got about 20 seconds here?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that the selection we had a week ago tomorrow was a chance. We were given a chance to go ahead and make things. Now, I hope Mr. Trump decides to, as they said on television, swing for the fences, go big, because he's not going to have it any better than he's going to have it when he first gets to D.C. So go for it, buddy. Yeah. Make it happen. Do the things you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
See what happens. We'll judge you from there if you do what you say you're going to do.
Yep.
Hey.
Yep. Drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. Okay, guys, we'll be back with you tomorrow. We got a lot more to talk about, so we'll see you tomorrow. God bless you all. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.